Hi, I'm John, I'm 22, that was 2024, and this is my year of running.
Hello, good morning, welcome to Portugal Diaries. Hello there, welcome, hello and welcome to a new video.
Good morning, it is just before 8 o'clock.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, it is a very early morning in Cornwall.
Hello and welcome to a very misty, foggy morning. Hello and welcome to the world's biggest half marathon.
This time I know, never stop believing in you. No matter what I do, never stop believing in you.
I made a similar video to this last year where I went back and looked at the year of running and exercise that I'd done, picked out the stats, picked out the highlights, all the kind of memories from it, and evaluated what I'd done. And I'm doing it again because I just think it's really fun, you know, it's good to see what you did and all the memories I've made and everything like that and put it into one big video. The same as last year, it'll be in parts, so we're gonna get kicked off with the numbers. Okay, I've just done my final run of 2024. Let's have a look at how much I've ran this year. It's been a pretty big year. I've run a lot, but of course we had that period of injury between March and May-ish where I didn't run so much. Anyway, here are the final totals. So the total distance I ran this year was 1,533 miles, up quite a bit from last year, and I did that over 263 days. So out of this year, 366 days, because it's a leap year, I ran 263 of them. Some days I doubled, so that's not how many runs I went on, just how many days I ran. I covered 69,337 feet of elevation, which, to be honest, is kind of hard to comprehend. Like, it's a number, it sounds like quite a big number. How much exactly is that? Well, Mount Everest is about 29,000 feet, so I've basically done 2 and a bit Everest this year, which is a little bit mental really, but having parents who live in Devon obviously helps that a little bit. I did 8 races this year. That ranges all the way from the Great North Run, which I didn't really race, all the way to some track races, which I definitely did push myself to the limit on and went as fast as I could. Hoping to do more races in 2025 because I think that's just how you improve. Look at elite athletes and they're racing, a lot of them all the time, obviously not marathon runners necessarily, but it's good to test you and a good form of training. My biggest week of running was between the 25th of November and the 1st of December, and that was 50.42 miles, my biggest week ever, and my first time over 50 miles, although after that it kind of came crashing down a bit and my body was telling me to slow down, so don't know if I'll be reaching those heights again for a while. I'd rather keep it consistent, and that's where the next stat comes in. My biggest month of training was actually October with 192.73 miles. So although I did my biggest week in November, my biggest time of consistency, which was hitting the tweens of 40 and 45 miles a week, was in October. And clearly that really pays off because then I ran a very quick 5K at the start of November. Consistency is going to be the way forward rather than massive weeks. And interestingly enough, I did 127 hours of non-running. So that's kind of cross-training, but I guess that's also strength training, which I put on Strava as well. I did a bit of swimming and I did some cycling. So anything that wasn't running took 127 hours. Now let's talk highlights. What were some of my best running memories of this year? Well, started off with Bucks Cross Country. So that is, for those of you who don't know, in Britain, all of the universities get together and they compete in loads and loads of different sports. And the cross country race is a classic example of this. It's great to be in a team, that kind of university team, and the spirit of it all is just so good. Not only that, but in the A race, there are some pretty fast runners. This year it was won by Will Barnacote and Birmingham absolutely dominated the whole thing. I just think to go to that as NUAXC with the whole club was so fun. I'm so glad I got to do it before I left uni. It was a horrific course, don't get me wrong, but I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the whole experience, basically. Then I went off the mud and onto the track for my first ever track races, and that's a big part of this year that I've really enjoyed, getting on the track, doing some faster stuff. I did 2 1500s in March, which probably wasn't a great idea because I was definitely coming down with shin splints. We'll come back to them in a minute, but I did quite well. Got 4:45 in both of them, basically, which is P PB, never done it before, and definitely something I'd like to come back to this year and run faster. Again, we'll come back to some goals at the end of the video. I also did a 3,000 meter race in August, which went really, really well, and even a slightly longer race I really enjoyed. I love running on the track, that kind of metronomic consistency of it, just dialing in and running fast. And the shorter races I enjoy. I don't know if they suit me as a runner, but I like them, so I'm going to keep doing them. I went on my first ever running holiday, basically. I went to Portugal with the club for some warm weather training, where I didn't do much training, and it wasn't actually that warm all the time. It was better than England though. It was about 20 degrees, 18, 20 degrees. And it was just so fun going away with the club and making a video of it. And that was definitely a highlight of this year. I would have loved to do more running and actually train seriously, but I was denying how much my shin splints were hurting for sure. But I'm glad, I don't regret running. Like, I'm glad I still went out there and ran, because it was just such a good experience. So we had a bit of a blip in the middle of the year with shin splints. However, out the other end of summer, I'm feeling fit, I've done some good training, and I hit the Great North Run to run it nice and easy with a friend, his first ever half marathon, and it went fantastically. So good in comparison to the last Great North Run I did, which was less than ideal. The weather was horrible, but the atmosphere was just fantastic. Loved it. Ran, what, 1:38 or something like that. Found it pretty chill, bit harder than easy running, and that was it. Just soaked up the atmosphere and all of the stuff at the heart of the Great North Run, which I really, really enjoyed. I will probably enter the ballot again this year, see if I get in. It's always the thing that's kind of a nice benchmark for me, because it's what I started the channel for, and it's like, I don't know, it's Newcastle, it's running, I did it for Crohn's and colitis first year, I don't know. It's a really nice run for me to do, basically. And my final highlight of the year was York 5K. I trained really hard for it, and I had a lofty goal of 17:30. Did I achieve it? Of course I did. Got 17:03, which was as much of a surprise to me as it was anyone else. And that whole race just went fantastically. I had Monty pacing me. He did such a good job, obviously. I felt strong. The plan was executed to perfection, and we came away with such a good time. This really set me up in a positive way for 2025 and the kind of goals that I want to hit for that. There have obviously been so many other highlights, little runs in particular that I've really, really enjoyed, and some of them which I haven't even documented on here. There are so many nice running moments to take. Those are just kind of the biggest ones, but I feel like this year I've done a lot of running, and with that has come a lot of very, very enjoyable runs. The elephant in the room of 2024 was, of course, shin splints. They came about first in February, end of February. I started feeling pain in my left shin and thought, oh, it's fine, doesn't really matter. Made a dramatic video about it.
I think I might have an injury.
I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, oh, it's not as serious as I thought it was.
It might not actually be as bad as I thought it was.
And I have got over the injury, or I think I have at least. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. I took like 1 week off, still did like 10 miles, and then did my 2 track races, did a 40-mile week, and then my 2 track races, and by the end of that, I was dying. I was a broken man. I will never ever forget, between the 2 track races, I had a track race on Wednesday, track race on Friday, went on a run on the Thursday, and I basically had to be pushed up the stairs when I got home, because I was in that much pain. So, not brilliant. Shin splints, definitely have them. April comes around and I don't really run much, but I still run too much. I finally get the kick up the arse from the coach to stop running. And that's what I did for 2 weeks of 0 running, and it worked, essentially. I then had a very sensible and controlled build back up through May and June. I did a lot of rehab exercises and a lot of focusing on the injury. And it worked, basically. I have not felt my shins since, and that definitely taught me a lot. That was my first kind of proper injury as a runner that's running all the time, if you see what I mean. The first time I'd taken 2 weeks off for ages. At the end of the day, consistency is the most important thing, and if you can get consistency, you're basically onto a winner. That's not going to happen if you're constantly injured or fighting things off. So that's definitely something I took into the rest of 2024, and I'm going to take into 2025, be a bit more sensible, and hopefully I won't get injured, but if I do, I know what to do. Stop running immediately, don't try and run through it. It's always the injuries that you can kind of still run through that are the worst, because you've got no proper reason to stop running, but actually you're just making it worse. And I lost so much time from just doing little 10-mile weeks that I thought was going to help my shins, and it really, really didn't. Moral of the story, do your calf raises basically. Let's talk about 2025. I have a lot of big aspirations for next year. There are some pretty ambitious times, and that's kind of going to be my focus, I think, is being ambitious and really trying to push on, because I definitely have set myself goals that are a little bit too easy in the past. And I thought, if you don't aim high, then what's the point? You know, I might not get all these goals, but I'm at least going to try and, as always, have fun while doing it. These are the distances that I'd like to make a concerted effort to PB over in 2025. I'm going to start with the shortest, work our way up. So 1500, I loved my time on the track last year, and I definitely want to return there this year. It's a totally different way of training. I love the kind of speed, and the middle distance training is just fun. So I'm going to definitely try another 1500, and my goal for that is 4:30, which is 4:49 per mile or 3 minutes dead per kilometre, which is a little bit terrifying of a goal. Every time I do a stride, it's around that kind of pace usually, and I think, crikey, keeping that up for 3 3/4 laps would be quite a lot. But I got 4:45 quite a while ago, and I really think I can improve on that with a bit of getting my head in the right space for pushing hard, and some middle distance sessions, bit more strength, power, all that kind of stuff. I think that is well within possibility. 5k. This is the big one. This is what I would consider as my distance, because I don't know, I just really like it. I think it suits me pretty well. I think from a body type, I maybe suit slightly longer stuff, but 5k I just love. I feel comfortable with racing it. Like, I feel comfortable with how you should feel at each stage, so I've got a big goal for this one. I surprised myself this year getting down to 17:03 from 18:24 or something at the start of the year was really big, and that came off just a relatively small block of very consistent training. So I'm confident if I can put, you know, half a year or maybe a year of really consistent training together, I don't see why I can't improve a lot more still. And I've gone for this is actually a big one. 16:15 is the time that I want to run in 2025, and that is like 48 seconds off the PB, and that is like, that's a hefty time. Low 16s that's a pretty big jump. You're getting pretty fast if you do that, I think. And I don't know what that entails, as in I don't know how I can train for that, like what I need to change to get down there, but I think it can happen. So that's definitely going to be probably what is my main focus of the year, just because 5k I think is the one that I like the most. But that is that would be pretty impressive if I could do that. That's 5:13 a mile and 3:15 per k, by the way, which is ridiculously fast. That's faster than my 3k PB at the moment. 10k, I need to do a 10k race. I really need to do a 10k race. I haven't done a 10k race since summer of 2023 and got like 44 minutes. My current 10k PB was from a cross-country race, so I need to get out there and I need to get a sub 40 time and go beyond. I'm so unfamiliar with racing 10ks that any goals are kind of pretty scary. The thought of running a 39-minute 10k is a little bit weird to me, but there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do that right now. If I went out tomorrow, I think I could run a 38, 39, 10k as pretty much a threshold effort. So I've gone for another ambitious goal for this, and I definitely want to make this a bit of a focus as well. Another terrifying time, and that is 35:30, which is 5:42 per mile or 3:33 per k. That's 2:17:45, 5k's back to back, and so I've run 17:03 this year. I'm pretty confident that I can train myself up to be able to run 17:45 twice in a row. It sounds really terrifying, to be honest. I'm definitely going to want to get a 10k in almost as experience. I think this might take a couple of attempts because I need to know and learn how to run 10k, how to race it, what kind of tactics to use. But yeah, that's going to be a bit of a scary one. 35:30 is pretty quick. And I'd love to do a half marathon. I don't know if I want to dedicate a training block to a half marathon yet, because 5k and half marathon training are pretty different, but I would like to run a half marathon and actually try, because I've never really done that since I did like my first half marathon, was trying to get under 2 hours. So this goal, I'm slightly unsure of how hard it's going to be. I'd like to run 1:25, because I ran 1:38 at the Great North Run relatively easily, and this is 6:29 per mile or 4:02 per kilometre, and I just feel like that is in the realms of possibility, just from hopefully from normally training, and then maybe in the autumn try and do a half marathon, and 125 would be great. I'd love that, but that's not as big of a focus. That might just kind of happen. That 5k is the biggest focus of this year, and a pretty ambitious one, as well as the time goals that I want to hit through training and racing. There are a few kind of extra ones that don't really matter if I don't hit, but I'm going to try and aim for them anyway. The first one is 2,000 miles this year. In 2024 I've ran over 1,500, which was my target for this year, and I think 2,000 miles is possible in 2025, but that's a kind of light one because obviously you could get injured, you could get ill, whatever. I'm not going to kill myself over doing 2,000 miles. I'm hoping that it'll just kind of naturally happen, but it'll hopefully having a bit of a goal. That's about 38 miles a week, I think. If I could maintain 40 miles a week on average for all of 2025, that would be absolutely fantastic. Quite easy one that I definitely think will happen. I'd like to get to 100 park runs. I've done 87 at the moment, 88 hopefully once I've done one this Saturday. So I'll have like 12 to do in 2025, and that should get done very, very easily within the first few months of the year. Because getting that black t-shirt would be a nice little milestone there, and a little bit of a challenge for this channel, because I want to definitely focus more on the videos I'm making and try and make a bigger thing of it. It's grown so much in this year in a way that I didn't really expect it to, and I'm really enjoying doing it. If I could hit 1,000 subscribers this year, that would be absolutely incredible. Obviously I'm not really in control of that. I'll just try and keep putting out as good of videos as I can and see what happens, but going along the lines of being ambitious, that's the main task for 2025. Train well, be ambitious, and see what happens. All of these obviously come with the caveat of just enjoying myself while I do it. If training isn't fun, there's not much point doing it, but some fast times along the way would be a nice little reward. So stay tuned for the whole of 2025, because I will almost certainly make videos out of every PB attempt, and you can track how I get on with these goals. I have loved creating content this year, and making this video has just made me realise how much I've achieved and all the amazing people I've got to do it with. So to my friends, family and viewers, thank you. I cannot wait for what 2025 has to offer.
This time